who is the 2025 ride or die for you?
Yeah, this stadium's been good to me, and my ride or die this year is actually in this stadium. I see him right over there, number 8. Omarion Hampton, the Chargers rookie running back, is a special, special player. I also think fantasy-wise, he's great value on Yahoo right now. He's going around pick 50 overall. On my personal ranks, I have him inside the top 30. Omarion Hampton is my 2025 ride or die.
Fantasy Football Happy Hour with Matthew Berry.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Happy Hour. That's right, the big ride or die reveal before the Hall of Fame game. Omarion Hampton, all the pressure is on you and Matthew Berry right now.
Yeah, well, he drinks for free. That's why. Listen, we don't want him worrying about the check. So there you go. Drinks for free. Yeah, it was a grueling process to come up with it, but ultimately Omarion is my ride or die. What was your reaction?
Feels like a personal affront, really, because you're basically taking a bet against Najee Harris. Is
Yes.
a large part of this.
And not the worst bet.
Not the worst bet.
Not the worst bet.
You used to have a good name until you previously attached it to
Yeah,
Najee
attach
Harris.
yourself to Najee Harris and Michael Thomas and other great NFL superstars. No, I like the pick, and I think it's a good one because everyone is focused on Ashton Genty, rightfully, in this rookie class, but Omarion Hampton has the scope to outperform Genty. He is in, we'll go through all the reasons, but there is immense upside for Omarion Hampton. He could be a top 5 running back this year, very conceivably.
Yeah, we're going to get through a lot today. Some of our favorite players that we keep drafting. Of course, Rotoworld headlines around training camps, injuries, all of that. But, Matthew, I've worked with you. This is the 4th season I've worked with you now. This was, as I was watching, because I didn't ask you before, I actually like the element of surprise. The most surprised I've been, and not in a good or bad way. It was just, it was a little bold in a way. It wasn't just, you didn't take the layup here.
Well, a lot of people were pitching like Malik Nabers and Jayden Daniels and Ashton Genty, and I'm just sort of like, those guys, and Brian Thomas Jr., and like, I felt like all those guys sort of broke out last year. The year to pick any of those guys would have been last year. Right, and so the idea of ride or die is not that it's an unknown player, but just somebody that I feel takes the next step. And right now, Omarion Hampton is being drafted. You know, he's being drafted around overall number 50 and like right around running back 20. And I have him, you know, as a top 12-ish running back. I have him inside my top 30. And so I felt like there was the opportunity there. You know. And I'll tell you a little bit about process here real quickly, but it ultimately came down to, and a lot of people were throwing out names, big names. I felt like Genty was too obvious. You know, he's going in the first round already.
Well, because think of how the bar is set. He'd have to basically finish his RB1 or 2 for you to be right.
Exactly. Because honestly, that's part of it, right? It's like it's become such a big thing that there's pressure on me to get it right, especially after last year because Kyler Murray obviously disappointed. The weird thing is Kyler Murray actually had a great year NFL-wise based on his but it just didn't translate to fantasy points. Like, he didn't kill you, but he certainly wasn't a ride or die. He was one of the most disappointing picks that I've made. So I needed to bounce back from Kyler Murray. And that sort of informed the decision this year. It ultimately came down to 2 people for me. It was either Nico Collins or Omarion Hampton. And I thought Nico Collins was sort of the safe choice. He is somebody that has produced at a high level each of the last 2 years. And my argument was going to be like, similar to my argument for Amon-Ra St. Brown, is that this guy is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, just he's not talked about in that fashion. I think he's in the same class as a CeeDee Lamb. I think he's in the same class as an A.J. Brown, possibly as a Justin Jefferson. He's just not talked about that way, partially because of injuries, partially because Houston's more balanced on offense, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, well, Nico's the safe pick. I said, but Omarion Hampton, there's more risk there. He's in a timeshare. He's a rookie running back, right? And I said, but you know what? Last year I was in a similar situation. I honestly, and you guys know, we talked about this, it was between Kyler Murray and Jayden Daniels for me. And I thought, wow, rookie quarterback on my Commanders, everyone's going to think I'm a homer. That's a risky pick to go with like a rookie quarterback and a new head coach, a new offensive system. I really want to take Jayden Daniels, but Kyler Murray's the safe pick. So I took the safe pick. And obviously that was a mistake. I should have taken Jayden Daniels. So this year I was like, screw it. I'm going with the riskier pick, but the guy that I most believe in. I think he is, as you heard me just say it, I think he's a special player. 2 things that I didn't really have time to get into. You mentioned Najee Harris. Like, look, again, no timetable for his return, but 1-year deal versus a first-round draft capital for Omarion Hampton. I don't think, and just the fact that we don't know when Harris is coming back, but the longer he stays out, the more they get to see Hampton in practice. When I was on the field pregame, I mentioned this. You saw this in the clip. Like, we were talking to Chargers players who are all, to a man, saying, like, he's the real deal. Like he runs hard in practice. We don't like tackling him. Like you can clearly see the difference between a first-round running back and some of the other guys there. And the other knock on Hampton that I've seen out there is that Greg Roman's offenses don't pass to the running back, which is somewhat true, right? But if you look at the other offenses they've been in, it's like it's been with mobile quarterbacks. It's one of the reasons why the Greg Roman rushing numbers are so high, but it's also one of the reasons why they don't really pass the running back. Herbert's not going to run the way that Lamar Jackson or Tyrod Taylor ran. I think they will use him because he is a good pass catcher, because he's good in pass pro. He's not going to have to come off the field on third down. And for the people that say, well, Roman's rushing numbers were inflated because of the rushing quarterbacks, I think that's true and accurate. But Jim Harbaugh wants to run. Jim Harbaugh's he's been a head coach in the NFL for 5 years. He's been top 12 in rush attempts every single one of those years. I know there was some Colin Kaepernick in there, but still, like, this is a team that wants to run. They've rebuilt the offensive line. I mean, they just signed Rashawn Slater.
It's in his
they had
DNA.
Joe Alt, right?
Right.
I think it's a top 10 offensive line, Connor.
Oh, they arguably have the best tackle duo in all of football right out of the gate. So they can run a lot of outside zone. They can run basically any run concept with Hampton. This is my 12th overall player in the draft, right? For a running back to be ranked in the top 15. And Genty obviously stole the show because he was Genty, and it took away from how special Hampton was. And now this will kind of correct Jay, where I think, obviously the ADP is going to go up. And Najee Harris, it's an unfortunate injury, but this is somebody that can truly get a 75+% of the touches out of the backfield.
Yeah, definitely. And even if people think that Genty is a better prospect than Hampton, well, the Chargers' win total is 3 wins higher than the Raiders. And the Chargers are expected to be a better team than the Raiders. They're expected to be in scoring position more often than the Raiders. So I like this, Matthew, because there's a chance this could blow up in your face.
It is.
It could be in Brazil, week 1 against the Chiefs. It could be 9 carries. Like, we don't know. But
exciting.
I think that it's a good bet to place against my man Najee.
The last thing I'll say here, and then we can move on, but the other thing is I didn't have time to say this at the broadcast. Again, he's a very different player, but I think Omarion Hampton is such a special talent and so much better than Najee Harris that maybe it's a split at the beginning of the year, but much like Bucky Irving last year took over that backfield towards the end of and Hampton comes in with much more draft capital than Bucky Irving ever did.
Right.
But I do think that's how that's going to play out is over the second half of the year, Hampton's just going to take over this backfield because he's just that much better, that much more explosive, that much more big playability, just that much more. He's just better than Najee Harris. Stop it.
His size and power reminded me of the best David Johnson years.
Yeah.
Where you look at a guy in the backfield, you go, wow, not a lot of guys are that big, that explosive, and then they do all the little things right as well.
Yeah, and I think it's good to place a bet on this Chargers regime as well, where you trust in Jim Harbaugh, you think that they're going to make the right optimal decisions. We saw last year they heavily featured a rookie in their offense in Ladd McConkey, so they're not just going to arbitrarily go with the vet. So hopefully for you, Matthew, they ride.
The comment section is buzzing right now, by the way. Dennis Rodriguez says, Hampton is a much better talent than Najee, so pass on him all you want so the rest of us can keep winning money.
Yeah. That's Dennis, by the way, who's watching us live on YouTube. For those of you who are listening to this show on podcast or SiriusXM, if you're hearing it or watching it on Peacock later or on demand, we are live at noon Eastern on YouTube every single day. And obviously, comments. Live episodes finally, says Sean Murphy, like a wide receiver 3 breakout. Yeah, let's go. Exactly.
We are as excited as you, Sean.
You have no idea. We're thrilled, Sean. And we want you guys to be a part of the show. So we don't see the comments beforehand, obviously. You guys are doing it live. So keep them coming and let us react to them.
So all the conversation around Omarion Hampton, of course, and the relation with his offensive coordinator, Greg Roman, we know he wants to run the ball. We got to hear from Roman after the game on Thursday on where his confidence is in their Chargers backfield right now.
All the running backs, I thought they ran really hard. Love how they ran. Omarion, they were bringing cover 0 blitzes at us early in the game. He did a good job, really good job. Good start for him.
The running back room, are you looking to add anybody else in, or are you just going to roll with the young guys?
I like what I see right now. I know Joe and his staff, they're always going to do whatever they can to improve the team, make the team stronger. So if they decide to do something there, bring it on. But right now, I think we're really happy with who we have.
Now, great to hear him talk up Hampton, but he did say Omarion.
I was waiting for the
Omarion.
I thought it was Omarion. Omarion, yeah.
That's what I've
said.
But
he said
before the draft.
He said mare, like a mare, M-A-R-E, like a mare.
I reckon he's got it wrong. I reckon he's got it wrong.
You'd be surprised. Coaches sometimes, especially rookies.
But you just wait.
We're going to say.
Omarion Hampton.
If he has I
thought it was Omarion Hampton, but maybe it's Omarion.
We'll get to the bottom of this.
If he goes for 1,500 rushing yards, he probably just gets to change the pronunciation of his name, as all running backs do in the NFL.
The big O.
Like Bajan.
A-Chain.
Yeah, exactly. That's
how
you have
it goes.
to change the name. When you become a star running back, and we certainly expect Hampton to do that. You get to change
Derek
the name.
Henry.
Yeah, Henry. Yeah, exactly.
By the way, one last note in this backfield. Najee Harris remains on the NFI list without a timetable for return.
Yeah.
So if anyone's wondering, we don't know right now with Najee Harris, and I don't know if the Chargers have a lot of answers either. But
5 worst words in fantasy football. No timetable for his return.
So getting to the rest of this game, Keandre Lambert-Smith.
Yeah,
A nice debut, right? Yeah, it's a big KLS game for the day 3 rookie for the Chargers. He caught 2 of 2 targets, 43 yards, and a touchdown in the Thursday Hall of Fame game. Someone for me, Matthew, started his career at Penn State, was pretty good, finished his career at Auburn. Really nice possession receiver in college. I know he timed at a 4.37 40. I didn't see him play as a vertical threat, but somebody that he can make a lot of plays when the play breaks down, a good adjuster to the ball. So I'm kind of curious if he could be some depth in a wide receiver room that, for all the talent it also has a fair share of injuries at times.
Yeah, no, I'm interested. I'm curious to what you think, because I've talked to some other scouts that said, they thought he might be a little bit small,
slender kind of
player.
Yeah,
a little twitchy. But I will tell you that prior to the game, we're on the field and we're talking with some guys, and so I'm walking around with Deb McCourty, and so of course we're talking to a bunch of defensive players, and as I said here in this tweet right here, we were talking to one of the safeties on the Chargers. And I literally said hey, how's Trey Harris? And he goes, oh, I'm excited to see him. He's got all the tools. But we actually got 2 guys. KLS, man, he's burning people in practice. So just unprompted, just talked about how Keandre Lambert-Smith had been really impressive. And he feels like, when he said 2 guys, he really means like 2 of the rookies.
Yeah.
We've got 2 young guys that are really showing something in camp. Trey Harris, not a surprise. But KLS, 5th-round pick, a little bit of one.
Yeah, so you said that he could be great depth, Connor. Is there a chance that he can be more than that? Because outside of Ladd McConkey in this receiver room, it's like QJ, Trey Harris, who we obviously we haven't seen. There's not a lot there. Is there a chance that he could be? Are there worlds where he could be the number 2 receiver on the Chargers? There's
a world of that. It's required for injury. The thing is, we saw McConkey get banged up at his size. Trey Harris missed a lot of time last season in college football, and then you have QJ, where we've seen inconsistencies as well. So if Lambert-Smith, if he starts, the biggest thing for me was getting off the line of scrimmage, getting into his routes, not getting disrupted when things got physical. If they can coach him up in that, I think a number 3 would be a fair expectation at some point for him.
A couple other sort of nuggets from the field right there. It's so great when you get to go there and you get to talk to players, especially in the preseason, because it's loose. They know the game doesn't matter and everything like that. So they're, I think, probably a little bit more willing to share information at that point. I've always liked Will Dissly. But I think I'm alone. No one trashed Will Dissly, but the comments I got is I think they really like Tyler Conklin there. And Gadsden is turning some heads. Aronde Gadsden Jr., rookie out of Syracuse, is turning some heads there. So it'll be a bit of a 3-headed monster there at tight end for the Chargers, but Conklin's and Gadsden's name came up a lot more than Dissly when I was asking about the tight end room.
And Gadsden, you watch him play, it's very similar to what they did with Stone Smart last year. Where they like having that tight end that's just a big wide receiver that can play off the line of scrimmage. And he gained a lot of weight throughout his time at Syracuse to really develop into that position. So I'm with you. That's really interesting.
2 other quick comments from the field, Lions side of the ball. So I went up to I had a great conversation with Jared Goff.
Really?
I did. So Devin and I, again, we walked up to Jared Goff, so we asked him, hey, how's the new scheme, right? Because obviously John Morton is the new offense coordinator, Ben Johnson now the head coach in Chicago. So we're asking, how's it going out with the new scheme? And he said, he said, he says we're running more or less the same scheme. He said we've added some new wrinkles here, but we're running a lot of the same stuff. But we've definitely added some new wrinkles. And then he turns to me, because I just walked up and I just said, hey, Matthew Berry, NBC Sports, right? I didn't say anything beyond that. So he goes, we've added some new wrinkles, but don't worry, Jahmyr Gibbs still going to be really, really good. So he immediately knew.
The reassurance.
Exactly. He quickly knew why I was sort of asking and played along. I said, oh really? And I said, do we think? And I just asked him, pressed on that. Do you think you'll see more of Gibbs? He was so good down the stretch, and he said, well, no, I think one of the reasons why he was so good down the stretch and why he was so good all of last year was because he didn't have to carry it, touch it 25 times a game. Montgomery spelling him, he says he suspects it'll be similar to last year, which is, a series for Gibbs, a series for Montgomery. But when they get in close, I got the sense that there's a few more red zone packages for Gibbs that they're installing this year, and that I think he takes another step. But it's probably not going to be what we saw over the final 3 games of last year. The other thing I said to him, I said, well, all right, so after he did the Gibbs comment, I'm like, all right, okay, so you know why I'm asking. You get it. Yeah. I said, so.
Give me a little more.
I just said, I'm just going to ask. Give me a sleeper. Who you got in this offense? Give me a sleeper. And he's just like, he goes, I don't know that I have anyone that you haven't even heard of. He said, I will tell you, Jameson's having an amazing camp. He said, obviously, Laporte and the running backs, Amon-Ra, he just said, but Jameson's having an amazing camp. So that just sort of, we've heard that in the press, but to hear it specifically from the quarterback, the guy getting the ball, that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think there might be a bit of an inefficiency with how people are thinking about the Lions, because people like Ben Johnson, who everyone thinks is a great coordinator, and I'm sure he was a great coordinator, everyone thinks that him leaving means that the offense is definitely going to get worse. We haven't seen this offense without Ben Johnson. Yeah, Ben Johnson was probably a big part of how it succeeded, but it's one of the best O-lines in football, even with the changeover. Still Goff. James Williams will be better. Amon-Ra St. Brown's one of the top 10 receivers in the game. Jameer Gibbs is a top 5 running back. It's probably just going to be a sick offense again.
And Sam Laporta, that's part of the problem why he wasn't able to give me a sleeper. It's as it is, they can't get the ball enough to Laporta and Williams and Amon-Ra.
Also,
and the running backs.
The last we saw of Ben Johnson, he was dialing up a trick play for James Williams to throw a pick to end the season.
Which was one of my favorite plays of the season, Ben Johnson. You keep doing you. God bless. Love that. Thank you. Anytime you get your wide receiver to throw in triple coverage when you're down a touchdown in a playoff game, you got to do it. Am I right?
Yeah. I think that's look, all the fact that, they used a ton of motion and a ton of play action and the scripted offense is great. I'm sure Ben Johnson's a really good coordinator, but still, we haven't seen this offense fail without him yet. And until we do, I think you have to operate with the assumption that it's going to be a really
and John
good
Morton
offense.
was on this staff. So, I think
around a while. John Morton's not a bum. He knows what he's doing when it comes to offense.
Exactly. And that's what Goff said, basically. It's a different scheme, but it's not significantly different. They've just added, they've added some new stuff. They've added some new wrinkles.
I think also it's really easy to attach yourself to the idea that Ben Johnson is a total genius because of the trick plays. And because when the trick plays work, it makes you look outlier good as a coordinator. I think it might be a little over-indexing there.
How have the markets been reacting to the Lions and all this change? Because it's both sides of the ball. Aaron Glenn is with the Jets, Ben Johnson with the Bears. Because it feels like some people are saying, this could really cause them to step back, but I don't know, the roster's still loaded.
Still loaded. They're the second favorites in the NFC behind the Eagles, but they are kind of a separated tier from the Eagles. The Eagles are tier 1 by themselves, despite the fact that the Lions went 15-2 last year, despite being one of the most injured defenses in NFL history. The health on defense will regress positively. They'll probably get a bit more banged up on offense, so pretty healthy on that side of the ball. But expectation is 10 to 11 wins in the market. And I don't know, we'll see. I think we're going to learn a lot about the NFC North week 1 when Detroit play Green Bay, because I think those might be the 2 best teams in the NFC, along with Philadelphia. Yeah, we'll see with the Commanders. You got a wide receiver?
We'll see, hopefully. Yeah, Debo, baby. That's right. Friend of the podcast, Debo.
Are they really going to let the savior Jayden Daniels go into the season with Debo?
No shot. They'll figure it out.
I think ultimately they figure it out, because the problem is that he's definitely underpaid. He isn't worth nearly as much as he wants, and the Cortland Sutton deal hurts him. Some of the more recent comps for players his age hurt. But I don't know what they would get for him in a trade. You know what I mean? I don't know what.
Never win that trade.
Yeah, exactly.
You never would win the trade. He just matters too much to the team.
Yeah.
Last thing on Detroit, just the reason why their win total is lower is that their schedule is horrific.
Sure.
They just play. It's like they play the Ravens or the Chiefs, and the NFC North is brutal. But that's going to lead to more passing, I think. So that's what makes someone like Jameson Williams really appealing.
And honestly, more battle tested. If they survive that gauntlet, when they get to the playoffs, they'll be ready.
All right, we're going to get.
I will say, outside of because NBC has the Super Bowl this year, and so we were all talking. When we were out there, the Football Night in America crew, what would be our dreams, Super Bowl? What are we rooting for in terms of both, game and fun? And obviously, I'm listen, Commanders versus Commanders is always my dream Super Bowl. But
you should want Commanders versus Titans.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
Commanders Jaguars.
Commanders Browns.
Yeah, exactly. Commanders Browns would be amazing. But jokes aside, Bills-Lions would be amazing. You know,
a lot of people wanted that last year.
Two fan bases that are so deserving.
I agree.
Two fun teams. You know, the Lions versus Josh Allen. Like it, boy oh boy, that would be.
It would draw.
That would be an awesome Super Bowl.
We're going to get into our most drafted players, but before we do any of that, Matthew, it's the time of year everybody's wondering, where do I want to draft? And for most of you, you probably have no control of that, obviously, but strategizing.
There are some leagues that allow you to, you know, they have a draft order, and then you can say, you know, you have pick one, and you can say, with my first pick, I want to choose. You get to pick your draft spot versus just where you're drafting.
So if you were in their shoes, what would your answer be to that?
I kind of like being later in the first round. I don't know that there's. Listen, we love Jamar Chase, proud fantasy life investor Jamar Chase. He's my #1 overall player. He is for a lot of people. But as much as I love Jamar, I don't know that I feel like Jamar is so much better than everyone else. Like, if I don't leave with Jamar Chase, but I have Justin Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb or you know, Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs or even Chris McCaffrey, like, you know, I don't think there's a significant difference between the first round. And in fact, I think you can make an argument that there's probably like 14 to 16 players that I think are probably worthy of being inside the first round.
Right.
And so I want to pick towards the end. The last draft I was in, I had the 8th spot out of in a 12-team league, and I loved it. I loved how that team turned out.
Yeah, I think that just naturally there's a bit of an inefficiency in drafting where if the guys who go earliest are often the running backs who were amazing last year. And if you're amazing the year before, probably means you had a massive workload. And that's probably going to impact you the following year. So I think that, like, for me...
That's why I have Saquon where I do. I mean, I have, you know...
I'm not sure there's that much of a difference, and we'll get to it, but between, like, CMC and Saquon. Like, I certainly would rather pick CMC where he's going than Saquon where he's going.
Well, let's get into it. Our most drafted players. We're going to go around the horn, starting with the quarterbacks, of course, Matthew, and I think everybody knows your answer for this one.
Yeah, obviously, it's faith in 5. Jayden Daniels right there. There's a reason why he has the best jersey spot on the wall right behind me. When you see me, you see Jayden
right next to Mark Andrews, though.
Right, we gotta redo the wall a little bit. But yes, Jayden has the best spot. We gotta redo the wall a little bit.
I like that Anthony Richardson's next to Matthew Berry on the wall. That's fitting.
Both of us have accuracy issues. To be honest with you. Anyway, but Jayden Daniels. I mean, what do I need to tell you? But like he played 15 full games last year. He averaged over 23 fantasy points per game. He broke the record for most rushing yards by a rookie quarterback. Second most fantasy points by a rookie quarterback in NFL history. And assuming Terry McLaurin gets back before the season starts, which I think he will, the addition of Deebo Samuel, bringing back Zach Ertz, who was a really trusted weapon for him down the stretch, Noah Brown as well. They improved the offensive line, obviously starting with Laramie Tunsil and the acquisition of him. So I just think second year in the league, more weapons, should be a great year. I want one of those 4 mobile quarterbacks if I can. I'm more in on earlier quarterbacks than sort of waiting, and you know, obviously he's my favorite player to root for. So I have a lot of Jayden Daniels this year, and will continue to have a lot of Jayden Daniels. He was a member of the league-winning Live at Noon on the Cock, the back-to-back champions of our league. In case you weren't aware, Live at Noon on the. We're currently no longer Live at Noon on the Cock. We are Live at Noon on the Tube. And tape delayed at 5 o'clock on the Cock. So I may have
what's the name going to be then?
I don't know.
We got some workshopping to do.
I do have some workshopping to do.
Back-to-back champion, much like the 09-010 Lakers, where, they won back-to-back titles, but it wasn't an all-time great team or anything. And then they got swept by the Mavericks in 11. So that's coming this year.
We'll see. Hopefully somebody challenges me.
Yeah.
Right? We've played 4 fantasy leagues between football and basketball, everything like that. And it's literally like me and backup producer Peter, the only 2 people that have won a title.
That's true.
Of our group of the show group.
Sadly accurate.
Yeah.
Not counting Guillotine.
Not counting Guillotine.
Which I believe Rotopad is.
Yeah, Rotopad has been back to back. Yeah.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right. The quarterback I end up drafting very often is a guy who I think is one of the most compelling figures in this NFL season. That's Michael Penix Jr.
Okay.
Where he has such a wide range of outcomes. And when you're talking about quarterbacks, he's going as QB 21. And I think he has the upside to be a top 10 quarterback.
Sure.
And I would just rather have him and his upside, which comes from playing in a dome, playing a very easy schedule, having a great O-line, having a legit wide receiver one in Drake London, having the guy who I think may be the best running back in football this year, Bijan Robinson. He is so surrounded in terms of elite context where if he's just good and if he hits like an 80th percentile outcome, and he is a guy who is prone to high variance with just his profile where he chucks it deep. He throws it deep. He's not dink and dunk. He's going to launch it down the field. We saw that in his 3 starts last year. And so I just think that there are a huge range of outcomes for Michael Penix, and I'd just rather go to war with that than like Dak Prescott or Geno Smith or guys who are higher floor, but we know that they don't have an elite. Well, you know, Dak is, a couple of years ago, Dak was elite, but I'd rather trust in the upside of Penix.
Well, by the way, and like where he's going in drafts, he's going so late, right? That like it doesn't kill you if it doesn't work out, right? And so, you know, and when you're waiting on a quarterback like that, it allows you to stock your roster even deeper, and so that if Penix doesn't work out, then you go to a waiver wire and you try to find somebody else.
He's been a best ball favorite of mine because you'll just get those 3 or 4 touchtouchdown weeks out of nowhere because he's a 3-point shooter. That's what you like. Another guy in that mold for me.
For whatever it's worth, by the way, I have him 3 spots ahead of consensus.
Right. So Yahoo QB 24, right? Barry ranks QB 21.
Correct.
For me, this is going to seem like a homer pick, but it's actually the opposite. Justin Fields is a guy I end up with all the time at quarterback. Matthew, for you, quarterback 9. He's being drafted as QB 9 now. I feel like that's slowly started to pick up. I was at Jets camp last week. Justin Fields is going to be asked to do a lot of running in this offense. It's reason I say it's not a homer pick is outside of Garrett Wilson and a little bit of Mason Taylor, nobody's getting open. The pass game is really, really rusty. The offensive line looks pretty good. Fields is going to run a lot, and it's going to be design runs and scrambles. And listen, Fields is, you know, he averages 55 rushing yards per game throughout 44 career starts. I would take the over on that number this year, Matthew.
Last year in Pittsburgh, he was a top 8 fantasy quarterback on a points per game basis. He produced massive numbers in Chicago when he wasn't surrounded by much. And now in New York, he has a head coach and a contract that says, you're our guy. In Pittsburgh, it was just like, oh, keep the seat warm for Russell Wilson, or hey, we don't know if it's going to be you. Chicago, we're not sure if we're keeping you or not. Chicago was kind of a disaster. Head coach that might have been out on the way out, blah, blah, blah. The Jets, like, it's an organization, has its issues, but like, you know, for this year, next year, Aaron Glenn is the guy, and Aaron Glenn has said, you're my guy. And so that takes a lot of pressure off of a young quarterback who, again, kind of a fantasy cheat code with the rushing.
Yeah, and I think there's a chance that, you know, there'll be times where they're playing from behind, and he's just going to have to make things happen. It's going to be out of structure, which is good for Fields. How about a running back?
Chase Brown, honestly. Look, I mean, like, you know how good he was down the stretch. Here's a stat that tells you what you already know. Over the final 8 games last season, starting in Week 9, he was averaging over 20 fantasy points per game. He was the 4th best running back in fantasy. He averaged over 23 touches per game during that stretch, played 85% of the snaps. And then you sit here and you look at this depth chart. Zach Moss got released, and now it's Samaje Perine. We like Samaje Perine, but like he's not a feature back. He's not a threat to take any work. Maybe he takes a little bit of third down work. And then they have the rookie Taj Brooks.
Right, 7th rounder.
Right, which is fine. It's a nice late round flyer. I've taken him as a late round flyer, but Chase Brown proved last year over a significant period of time that he can be a workhorse full-time back. It is going to be one of the best offenses in football. When he needs to be, he can be a 3-down back. So I think just because he's not a big name and people are worried because of the size, can he hold up?
Which is funny. His last year at college, he was a workhorse.
Right.
It's a total.
They just have this perception.
It is a perception problem.
It's a perception problem. But yeah, I mean, this guy should be going inside the top 10. He is a true RB1. He's not being drafted like it as such. He's currently going as RB12. I have him at RB11, slightly higher in the overall as well. But I have a lot of Chase Brown.
Yep. Christian McCaffrey for me among the running backs going as RB5 on Yahoo. You've got him RB3. Matthew will be a bit more in line with that. The last time we saw McCaffrey healthy, he was Offensive Player of the Year. He was the best running back in football. He was going RB1 coming into drafts last year. Yes, he was injured and it was a lost season last year. It appears that he's healthy. And the 2 things with McCaffrey, 1, Niners have a super easy schedule, which is going to help in terms of scoring opportunities. And then the other thing with McCaffrey is like, look at this offense. Like, who's getting fed in the Niners offense? It's going to be Christian McCaffrey's offense. Like, Brandon Ayuk is going to most likely miss the start of the season. Yep. Debo is gone. It's Ricky Pearsall, who's had an interrupted preseason and is going into his 2nd year, basically his rookie season with how much time he missed last year. And then George Kittle, who will be great, but this is going to run through
Juwan Jennings is there as well.
But also dealing with
and not in camp, not currently in camp, right?
Banged up, contract issues.
Yeah. So, yeah, I like the call a lot. Like, there's an argument to be made that Chris McCaffrey should be the #1 overall pick. Like, when he's healthy, there's no one better. And the argument is that every NFL player is at a risk for injury.
Dylan on YouTube here. Where do you think Nico will finish the year as? Also, is CMC back to being a top pick, or should we be waiting towards the end of the first round?
I think you should be waiting towards the end of the first round if you can get him there. Like, I've seen him go as late as 8, 9, 10, but he's been creeping up, and I think as more and more hype gets around, he's back healthy, he's going to go. But again, I think every player is an injury risk, and so I will tell you that McCaffrey, I have a Niners team source who was the same guy when I did my 25, interesting tidbits from the combine. Among the things I said was like, is that, hey, don't be surprised if Jordan Mason gets traded, which that ended up happening. Yeah. And one of the reasons why Mason was going to get traded was because they felt really good about where McCaffrey was health-wise. And so, yes, you've got Garando, you've got Jordan James there, but I mean, I think McCaffrey has at least one last monster season in him.
For me, guys, it's Bucky Irving. And
sure.
Once again, this isn't groundbreaking or anything like that. He's being drafted as the 10th running back. Matthew, you have him as RB9, number 20 overall. When this backfield fully kind of shifted and accepted that Bucky was the guy, you saw things completely change. And I believe in this offense. It's not a good division. The Bucs will play plenty of games where they're just going to overpower their opponent in the NFC. And Bucky's talented. I mean, the thing that stands out the most when you look at him is just his ability to consistently generate yards and big plays after contact, Matthew.
There's no question about it with Bucky Irving. Talking to a source at the Combine as well, somebody who knows, they talked about Bucky Irving as a true RB1. Didn't get a great – I don't think they love Rachaad White there. I've said this before.
Showed that hand.
I actually have some Sean Tucker as well because I think if something were to happen, I think there's a better chance that Sean Tucker ends the year as the number 2 in Tampa Bay than Rachaad White. I will tell you somebody that there is no questions about, and that's Malik Nabers. I think it's well within the realm of possibility that a year from now we're talking about number 1 wide receiver in fantasy football, Malik Nabers. Just obviously the talent is there. All the reports out of Giants camp is that Russell Wilson only has eyes from Malik Nabers, which is smart when you think about it. But a massive target share. He had 35% target share last year. I think he continues that just with better quarterback play. I think the Giants are going to be better overall. So I have no issues with him in the first round. Like I wound up with a lot of Malik Nabers. I think he is as safe as possible.
Yep, guy taken I think 2 spots ahead of Malik Nabers in the draft a couple years ago. Marvin Harrison Jr. Is the guy for me here. Still think we just have to regress to the fact that he was a generational wide receiver prospect like a year ago. And then, yeah, he had a tough first year. But a lot of that was that he and Kyler were just not on the same page with a lot of the deep balls. And I think that will get better. It seems like he's kind of remade his body a little bit. I think Kyler Murray, who was an elite deep ball thrower earlier in his career, can get back to that. I'm just higher on the Cardinals in general than most people. And it's not like he was awful last year, Marvin Harrison. It was just that he underwhelmed relative to expectations. So I think he still has a top 10 wide receiver season well within the range of outcomes.
For sure. I spoke to an offensive coach of the Cardinals at the Combine, and I said, what was the deal with Marvin Harrison? And they said, he was good last year. This year we find out if he's great. And I do think that that's a mindset they have is they need to unlock Marvin Harrison Jr. I've seen some of the camp footage. Looks like he's bulked up a little bit, Connor.
Yeah, he's strong, and he's obviously able to moss people.
Yeah.
Just want to see more consistent separation. I think in fantasy, what we care about, too, is some of those manufactured touches that he didn't really get a lot of last year.
Yeah, which I think will come. But I think similar to how, this is going to sound like a weird comparison, but because why everyone was just like, wow, Caleb struggled. And Caleb didn't struggle as much as just Jayden took off, right? Bryce Young, yes, he struggled, but it was amplified by the fact that C.J. Stroud was so good. Marvin Harrison was fine last year. He just wasn't Malik Nabers or Brian Thomas Jr., and that was sort of the issue. And so I do think there's value to be had there. As you mentioned, he is somebody that was widely considered a generational talent.
I'll go with a ride-or-die candidate, Drake London.
Sure.
Yeah, right now.
Detective Drake London.
ADP, 22.2. Matthew, you're a little higher on him, number 16 overall, wide receiver 9 in your rankings. He's being drafted as the 10th wide receiver. Going back to your point about Penix and the big plays, in fact, Darnell Mooney's hurt, and London is just going to be this alpha wide receiver. And I don't have to tell you, you can look at it right here, the sheer amount of targets that he gets. Guys, I think top 5 wide receiver in fantasy, Drake London this year, is really in the range of outcomes based off just the volume that he's going to command, Matthew.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we like Darnell Mooney. I like him as a late-round flyer, but Drake London was the 8th overall player taken the year he came out. we're not really worried about Kyle Pitts. I'm not falling for Kyle Pitts camp talk for the 8th year in a row, whatever it is. And so we like Penix, we like this offense, and he's an alpha wide receiver with the draft capital and the skills to back it up. He hasn't put it together for a full year yet, but we've seen moments of that. His 3 starts, again, super small sample size, but again, like he had a 40% target share, 23 fantasy points per game in those 3 starts, and I think a lot of that will continue. So a lot of the reasons you like Penix, same with Drake London.
How about tight end?
Tight end, I've been taking a lot of Colston Loveland. Ben Johnson talking about the comparisons between Loveland and Sam Laporta. Of course, Sam Laporta's rookie year under Ben Johnson, he was the #1 tight end in fantasy, tight end overall. He was tight end 3, like on a points per game basis. But I just think Loveland is somebody that they've invested a huge amount of draft capital in. We do think Caleb's going to be better. We think that offense is going to be better. And so, yes, Cole Kmet is there, but like the price on Loveland, like he's going as tight end 17.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's just he's going to be a big part of this offense. Just remember, in Detroit, Ben Johnson and the Lions ranked 8th in tight end fantasy points. Like, it's a big part of what Ben Johnson likes to do on the offensive side of the ball.
Yep. Dalton Kincaid, for me, who had a little bit of a lost season last year. He was banged up, I think. He's dealing with a knee. He wasn't himself all year. There are still worlds where Dalton Kincaid is the #1 option for Josh Allen, who's the MVP and a top 3 quarterback in football. So the competition is, it's still like Khalil Shakir and Josh Palmer, and I like Khalil Shakir, but Dalton Kincaid can have a bigger role in that offense.
I told you at the Combine, I talked to an offensive coach for the Bills, and I said, what happened to Dalton Kincaid last year? And they're like, he was hurt, dude. He was hurt all year long. He's going to be a sleeper next year. Trust me. He's getting the ball. So they love Dalton Kincaid in Buffalo, and so I do think fully healthy. We mentioned, we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but Khalil Shakir banged up, right? It's a big one.
Ankle sprain.
I love the Kincaid call. I think he's going to have a really big year.
Finally, for me, guys, TJ Hockenson. I mean, sure, you're going to have to pay to get him. Tight end 5 in Matthew's rankings, tight end 5 by ADP. But the last time he was healthy for a full season, tight end 2.
Yeah.
This is a young quarterback that's going to lean on the tight end. I think Hockenson's in for a big year. And he looked good when he came back last year.
Yeah, he certainly did. And Kevin O'Connell's offense has often featured the tight end as well. So I think because he was, up and down last year because of the injury, and there's, younger, more exciting guys, Hockenson is a value this year for sure.
A reminder to everyone that if you want to join the conversation live, tune in daily to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel at noon Eastern for our live stream of Happy Hour, and you could still catch us on Peacock at 5 Eastern. We're going to take our first break. When we're back, of course, we got the Rotoworld Player news coming right up.
I wanted to ask you about the reputation of this team, being a finesse team, and the short yardage issues, the running game issues last year. How do you change that identity?
Take the run out on 3rd down. What? You want to? That's my honest opinion. If it's 3rd and short, he's not a power back. I be telling him that in the locker room, but he a power back. I love the run though, but if I'm being honest, like That's why you got Jalen Wright. That's why you got Ollie Gordon for those kind of situations.
That was Tyreek Hill wearing the offensive coordinator headset.
So ridiculous.
A little bit there. He's said a lot this year.
You know what? Tyreek Hill's a friend of the podcast. He was on with us from Radio Row at the Super Bowl. God bless Tyreek Hill, because you know what? He often gives us things to talk about.
His reaction when you told him that he was wide receiver 31 or whatever he was last year.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, man.
He's like, I'm going to be top 3. So we'll see. Here's what I would say. So what? Like, Devon Achane, last year, in the 11 games that Tua Tagovailoa started, was the #1 running back in fantasy on a points-per-game basis. And you're like, yeah, Barry, we get it. He's good. Here's the other stat that you don't know, though. Last year, he converted on only 4 of 23 goal-to-go rushes. My point is that Tyreek may actually have a point, right, in terms of that Achane is not great at the goal line, but also, for our purposes, it does not matter. Like, again, he was the #1 running back in fantasy on a points-per-game basis when Tua was healthy. Now, you got to – but so that's true. Like, we need Tua healthy, but, like, he ultimately finished as, like, a top 6 running back last year overall. Like, you would have been very happy with Achane's production last year. You see it there on your screen, 17.6 fantasy points per game, 12 total touchdowns, despite the fact that he converted only 4 goal-to-go carries. You know, Tyreek, yeah, and then Devon, you know.
That's how you feel,
It's all in good spirit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Strange comment.
I mean, Tyreek said I say it to him in the locker room.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I kind of believe him.
And maybe it motivates Achane to, like, figure out a way to get a little bit better there.
I got to say, Tyreek Hill's got to be the most difficult player to draft this year. I got no idea what Tyreek
I'll
Hill's
just choose not to, quite frankly.
Would it shock you if Tyreek is the #4 wide receiver in football? Right. Would it shock you if Tyreek Hill is cut from the team and out of the NFL by week 10? Like, I'm ready for anything.
The widest range of outcomes. I will tell you what I think the solution is. Draft Jalen Waddle a couple rounds later. Honestly, I have a decent amount of Waddle. We were talking yesterday about, like, hey, who are your most drafted players? And, you know, I sent in a list, but one of those guys is Waddle, who I do think healthy. Like, everyone's sort of over Waddle, but again, especially given the fact that Tyreek might, with Jonnu Smith gone, there's more of a there's more target share available. And Waddle, who's younger and insanely talented, I actually think Waddle's kind of a sleeper this year.
All right, we got some more reports going around camp here. This is from The Athletic's Nikki Jabvala. Reports all indications to this point have been that the Commanders here, Matthew, are not interested in trading Terry McLaurin.
Why would they be? Absolutely not.
This is an all-in year for the Commanders.
100%.
They've operated like that all offseason.
We have a 4-year window. That's right, I'm using the royal we. We have a 4-year window. The remaining 4 years on Jayden Daniels' rookie contract. And to be honest with you, it's probably 3 years because we're going to have to take care of him sooner rather than later, right? You're not going to want it to become a distraction. You're going to want to get out ahead of it. So, you know, he's going to retire a Commander. They're not going to let him go anywhere. So, really, you've got this 3-year window when you've got him on your rookie deal, and you're seeing with some of the moves. Whether it, you know, and they brought in some veterans, whether it's bringing back Bobby Wagner and Zach Ertz, you know, the Von Miller deal. Like, they are the draft capital they gave up to go get Laramie Tunsil, like Deebo Samuel on a 1-year deal. Like,
Von Miller's along for the ride.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah,
right.
100%. Yeah, I mean, they're so I think this gets worked out. From what I understand, he wants like $35 million. They're like at $29-30. He's making $15 right now. $29-30 feels like that's for a player at his age, but he's been a good soldier. He's been a great face of the franchise. He's been, he's played with a bunch of inconsistent quarterbacks prior to Jayden Daniels. So I think ultimately this gets worked out.
Yeah. People keep asking me where Terry McLaurin and Micah Parsons are going to go, and I just tell them Washington Commanders and Dallas Cowboys. Yeah. It seems by far the most likely.
I know. I'm as a lifelong Washington fan, I would love for Micah to get traded out of the division.
Yeah.
Or, come to Washington, reunite with Dan Quinn, baby. They love you. But, yeah, I agree with you. You're not going to get enough back for the player. Micah, you might get a haul. But somebody might offer, like 3 first rounds for Micah, who's not even through his rookie deal yet. But McLaurin is a 30-year-old wide receiver. Like, the Commanders have to figure it out.
We hinted at this one during our last segment. Bills head coach Sean McDermott said Khalil Shakir is week to week with a high ankle sprain, the dreaded high ankle sprain for a wide receiver. This one obviously could linger into the season, guys, the early portion of the season. Also, one more Bills note. James Cook said he did not practice on Sunday due to, quotes, business.
Yeah, I mean, he's holding out. He wants a new deal as well. Yeah, I mean, what's weird is though, unlike Micah Parsons or Terry McLaurin, who both have, some leverage, I'm not 100% convinced James Cook does. Like, he's a very nice running back. He played well last year as well, but like, they got production from Ray Davis and Ty Johnson. Yeah. The best rushing threat they have on the team is Josh Allen. Like, and they're like, this is a team that put Latavius Murray in high leverage situations 2 years ago. Like, I mean,
Leonard Fournette as well?
Yes, I mean, like, exactly. Like
Buffalo Lenny.
Yeah, who could?
What a great time that was.
Do you think he'll retire as a Bill? Do you think he
really
goes to the Hall of Fame as a Bill?
Yes.
I don't think James Cook has the kind of leverage to that team. Like, if James Cook holds out, I think the Bills are kind of like, well, we wish he was here, but whatever.
They're telling you that.
Yeah.
This is lingering. And
yeah,
they're like, well,
exactly.
if you want to play.
So I don't know, but I do think Ray Davis, I prefer Davis over Johnson if you're picking sort of the Buffalo backfield.
I'm with you.
More of a football thing, but like they're going to play the Ravens in a month on Sunday Night Football on NBC. Like you don't have your semi-star running back. You don't have your wide receiver one. They don't really have a secondary at the moment either. Just some red flags with the Bills. They'll be fine because they got Josh Allen, but it's not a great way to go into a season opener against the Ravens.
I'm more concerned about the Shakir injury and if that lingers versus because then you look at other than James Cook because I think they'll be able to run the ball whoever they have. But like Keon Coleman, unproven. Josh Palmer, we like Josh Palmer, but he's been inconsistent. He's Josh Palmer.
Vertical number 3.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Curtis Samuel and Elijah Moore, a couple of slot guys that we've seen.
They lost Mac Hollins.
They lost Mac Hollins.
Was often the go-to guy for Josh Allen in key games.
I love Mac Hollins.
Against the Jets.
I love
Mac
Hollins.
Walks in barefoot. Runs by your team.
Talk about aliens. We love Mac Hollins. But that's right. Like there's like if you're a defensive coordinator, right? Again, you're worried about 17, but you're sitting there going like, all right, God, we got to shut down Curtis Samuel.
Match up here.
I mean, it should be okay. If Keon Coleman takes a step, that'll be a big development here. But that's remains to be seen.
Staying in the AFC, Broncos head coach Sean Payton said RJ Harvey is a candidate to be a joker. Everyone's favorite fantasy term, joker, thrown at the rookie running back here, Matthew.
Yeah, I mean, look, Harvey was a very trendy rookie in early best ball before they signed J.K. Dobbins, because we talk about how much Sean Payton likes to throw to the running back, right? Since he became the head coach in Denver, Broncos are number 1 in the NFL in running back target share and running back receptions. They like to throw. They like to throw to the running back, and so we know that. So whether it's Jaleel McLaughlin, is it going to be RJ Harvey, especially because we haven't really seen Dobbins used a lot in the passing game in his pro career, we figure that is what Harvey's going to be used. It's weird, though. I'm old enough to remember when Evan Ingram was going to be the Joker.
Right.
That was
How did we get here?
When they signed him and they thought Evan Ingram could be the Joker.
Or they could draft Colston Loveland as the Joker.
Right.
That was the conversation.
Exactly.
There's only one Joker in Denver, and it's not RJ Harvey or Evan Ingram.
Yeah, exactly.
He puts up 30-point triple-doubles. But yeah, RJ Harvey.
But we like the player.
Yeah.
And also,
I don't think he needs to be a joker to be fantasy viable.
Correct. I think it's known now, but like the Broncos have one of the 6 or 7 best offensive lines in football. They're amazing at generating yards before contact. It's just that no Denver running backs last year could get yards after contact. If RJ Harvey is good, he's going to get opportunity. And he is a guy of the rookies that I tend to be drafting a lot.
What are the Broncos' win totals?
I believe it's like 8.5 backed over, so the expectation is like 9 and 8.
Yeah, I would take.
They're like a coin flip to make the playoffs, like minus 110-ish each.
The division is brutal. That's why.
The division is brutal, but like, if Bo Nix is legit, and I see no reason as to why he's not, especially in that offense, that defense is probably the best in the NFL.
Yeah, you got a top 5 defense. If you believe in Bo Nix, then that's a team that can, win the division.
This is what it comes down to.
And the Chiefs play in that division, and they could win it.
Chiefs play, right? No, exactly. But like, and if they get out of that division, I mean, like last year as a rookie, like they went on the road and they lost at Buffalo, but like. Denver is really interesting this year.
Yeah, I think they're a 10-7 playoff team.
Yeah.
One more note in that division from Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network. Keenan Allen is visiting the Chargers. There's mutual interest in a potential reunion. Maybe welcome back, Keenan Allen.
I drafted him in the second to last round of Scott Fishbowl. So I'm hoping Keenan Allen gets a gig here. It's interesting here. Obviously, they have Ladd McConkey, who 71% of his routes were in the slot. Connor, I'm just curious, based on what you've seen in and last year, Keenan Allen, he's turning 33, but last year it seems like it was he was half in the slot, half on the outside for Chicago. How do you, if Allen does sign with the Chargers, would you see Allen playing more outside? Would he spell McConkey? how comfortable would McConkey be playing outside?
McConkey could do it. He's athletic enough, but I don't think the whole point of weaponizing him is playing him inside and outside. So I don't think it would have a massive effect on. I think this is Mike Williams' retirement, maybe that depth that they want to replace that. That's what this feels like to me. Maybe they just don't trust QJ right now.
I mean, honestly, right? I mean, QJ was drafted by a previous regime. He's been inconsistent, as we've talked about. Like, we talked about Trey Harris and KLS, like two guys, young guys with promise, but it's a fairly young room. Even their alpha, Ladd McConkey, is only a second-year player, so maybe just some veteran leadership as well. He likes Southern California. He knows the team, the facility, well-liked.
Deal.
And by the way, and was still, 744 yards, 70 receptions, and 7 touchdowns last year. He was wide receiver 33 on a points-per-game basis.
He can still play.
He can
and
still
offer
play.
Something.
Like, he wasn't washed at all. So I hope Keenan Allen signs. That would be interesting.
NBC Sports Now is our free 24/7 streaming channel. You can get NFL news and all the biggest stories in sports starting at 7 a.m. with PFT Live, The Dan Patrick Show, The Dan Le Batard Show with Stu Gotts, Fantasy Football, Happy Hour with Matthew Berry, that's us, and Chris Sims Unbuttoned. Just go to NBCSports.com/now. When we're back, it's time for Last Call. We got our best bets for Matthew's Ride or Die, Omarion Hampton, right after this.
I really just decided to start playing football again, really. I mean, it's been so long since I played last football, so I mean, I'm just excited to play, really. Like being in the locker room with the boys, running out the tunnel, I mean, just knowing they got my back, knowing I got their back. So, I mean, just that bond, that brotherhood, this feeling is just so good. So,
actually being able to break tackles.
Yeah, that's always a good feeling as well. So, I mean, yeah, I'm excited to do that, make some plays, so.
It's time for Last Call. That was Omarion Hampton. He's ready to roll. Matthew's Ride or Die. As we take a look at the regular season rushing yards market for Hampton. Jay, anything on this board that you would play?
Yeah, 1,000+ rushing yards at +200. That seems quite a generous price. That implies that he's only a 33% chance to get to 1,000 rushing yards. I think he's much higher than that.
Called at least 50-50.
Yeah,
right.
At least. Yeah, so I don't really get that one. He's going to be, by all indications, the #1 running back for Greg Rome and Jim Harbaugh and the Justin Herbert team that's projected to make the playoffs, so he should get 1,000 rushing yards.
Jay, you always talk about where there's one of the big inefficiencies in the market and pricing is when there's unknowns, right? And so they haven't figured out, they don't know how to price Najee Harris or how this distribution goes, so it ends up being low, and that's where you can sort of take advantage of that.
Matthew, considering he's your ride or die, I think you'll back this one. 10-plus rushing touchdowns for Hampton is plus 275. J.K. Dobbins ran for 9 touchdowns in this offense in under 200 carries.
I was just going to say, he missed 4 games.
He missed 4 games. And he had Gus Edwards, who also had 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
We don't know the status of Najee Harris. I'm a believer Hampton is going to score 10 rushing touchdowns in this offense. Plus 275.
275. Last year, I mentioned this stat on the show, but last year the Chargers were top 5 in terms. They were top 6 in terms of running back carries inside the 5. They were again, and that was with J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards.
Right.
When they get in close, they like to run. So yeah, give me Omarion Hampton plus 10 touchdowns at plus money on DraftKings. Baby, love that bet.
Yeah, I do. The one thing, too, is that J.K. Dobbins got a ton of opportunity. J.K. Dobbins was good last year. He's a good story, but Omarion Hampton's
first-round running back.
Yeah, exactly.
First-round running back.
Up a tier now.
Yeah, I mean, J.K. Dobbins was in a 1-year prove-it deal.
Yeah.
There you go. Another live show in the books. It's closing time, which means you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, unfortunately. We're back on Wednesday for Jay and Connor. I am Matthew Berry. Omarion Hampton is my ride or die. We'll see you on Wednesday. Peace out.